The wine splashed across my chest in slow motion, crimson blooming like a stain of betrayal across the midnight blue silk. I felt each droplet's cold impact as time seemed to stretch. Nadine's perfectly manicured hand tilted the crystal glass deliberately, her eyes locked on mine with calculated malice. "Oops," she said, her voice dripping with false concern. "Maybe next time wear something washable." The ballroom's chandelier light caught the wet fabric, making the expensive dress glisten obscenely. All around us, conversation died as guests turned to stare. The jazz quartet faltered for just a beat before resuming their melody, pretending nothing had happened in this pristine hallway just off the main celebration. I couldn't breathe, not from shock at the ruined dress, but from the realization that after 2 years of subtle undermining, my mother-in-law had finally shown her true face. In public, on her 60th birthday, the culmination of a war I hadn't even known I was fighting. My name is Jillian. I'm 28 and a freelance textile designer. This is the story of how I turned a wine stain into the blueprint for reclaiming my place in a family that never wanted me. I'd spent 3 weeks searching for the perfect outfit after Nadine's coffee shop ultimatum. She'd texted me asking to meet for coffee, to discuss birthday preparations. But her real agenda quickly emerged. "Formal?" she'd said with that tight-lipped smile. "Please try to wear something appropriate." Quinn will, of course. I'd just rather not have people asking why you look like a craft fair walked in. Quinn had been furious when I told him. "Jillian, you don't have to prove anything to her." "I know, but I don't want to embarrass you either." "You couldn't if you tried." He'd kissed my forehead. "Wear whatever makes you feel amazing." But the truth was, I didn't own anything appropriate by Nadine's standards. My dresses were vintage, handmade or secondhand. I didn't have money for designer boutiques, and I didn't want to pretend to be someone else for one night. That's when Olivia had called, Quinn's grandmother, the one person in his immaculate family who'd welcomed me like I belonged. At 83, she still drove herself, still baked cookies that made the whole neighborhood smell like heaven, and still delivered zingers at family dinners that made Quinn choke on his wine. "Come to my house before the party," she'd instructed over the phone after I'd mentioned my dilemma during our weekly call. "Don't change. Just come. I've got something for you." In her living room, warm and lived in, unlike Nadine's sterile showcase, Olivia had opened an ancient cedar chest and pulled out a dress wrapped in muslin. "I had this made in Paris when I turned 40, she said, unveiling a midnight blue silk gown with hand-embroidered detailing. "I only wore it twice. It deserves one more grand entrance." "Olivia, I can't. This looks priceless." "It is. And so are you." Her eyes twinkled. "Nadine wants you to dress up? Good. Let her choke on it." An hour later, with help from Olivia's stylist friend, I barely recognized myself in the mirror. The dress fit like it had been sewn for me, my hair curled into a soft updo, makeup enhancing rather than masking. I looked like someone Nadine would approve of, except I wasn't faking it. I was still me, just elevated. "She's going to lose her mind," Olivia had predicted. She was right. The moment I'd entered Nadine's marble and glass mansion, conversations had faltered. Heads turned. Quinn had spotted me from across the room, his jaw dropping slightly. "You look—" He'd managed, eyes wide with admiration. Nadine had descended her curved staircase in a crimson sequined gown minutes later, her fake smile cracking when she saw me. "Hazel," she'd said through teeth too white to be real, "you made it." "Happy birthday," I'd replied, handing her the gift Quinn and I had selected. Her eyes had raked over my dress with barely concealed fury. "Lovely dress," she'd said flatly. "It's not handmade, is it?" "No," I'd smiled sweetly. "It's vintage." That's when she'd grabbed my wrist, pulled me into a quiet hallway just off the main ballroom, and hissed, "What exactly are you doing?" "Excuse me." "This?" She'd gestured at my dress. "Are you trying to embarrass me?" "I'm dressed formally, like you asked." "Don't be coy," she'd snarled. "You walk in like a debutante and everyone's staring." "They're supposed to be looking at me. This is my night." "It still is." I didn't. "You didn't think. That's your problem." And then came the wine, splashing across Olivia's priceless dress. I stood perfectly still as the liquid soaked through, my fingertips trembling as they touched the ruined fabric. My mind raced through every sideways comment, every backhanded compliment, every time Nadine had made me feel small since I'd entered her son's life. "Is that how you treat a guest?" Olivia's voice cut through the air like a silver blade. She appeared behind me, her cane tapping softly on the hardwood. Her gray hair swept into an elegant bun, simple black gown adorned with pearls. Her eyes locked onto the stain across my chest, then moved deliberately to Nadine. "That dress," Olivia said coldly, "that you just ruined—" "Mother, I didn't. That gown was made for me by a French atelier in 1981. Hand-embroidered, limited run, worth more than your kitchen renovation." Gasps rippled through the crowd that had gathered. We weren't alone anymore. "I didn't know it was yours," Nadine said quickly. "I thought it was just some knockoff." "Of course you did," Olivia replied, "because you've never been able to tell the difference between what's truly valuable and what's just expensive." She dabbed at the wine with a white linen handkerchief. "It'll come out, Jillian. Don't worry." "I'm so sorry," I whispered. "No, dear. You did nothing wrong." Olivia turned to Nadine, voice rising. "But you should be ashamed." The crowd around us had thickened, pretending not to eavesdrop, though the room had gone silent. "You've always criticized Jillian because she doesn't wear the right brands or come from the right family, but Grace isn't bought, it's lived, and she has more of it than you've ever had." "You're making a scene," Nadine hissed. "No, dear. You did that when you poured wine on a family heirloom." Quinn appeared beside me, eyes burning with quiet fury. Having been talking with guests in the adjacent room, he'd noticed the commotion and pushed through the crowd to reach us. "We're leaving," he said flatly. "Wait, Quinn!" Nadine reached for him, but he pulled away. "No, I warned you." Olivia looked at both of us. "You're coming home with me. I'll have the stain professionally removed." We walked out together, me, Quinn, and Olivia, through the stunned crowd, past champagne flutes and awkward glances. No one stopped us. As we stepped into the night air, Olivia muttered just loud enough for me to hear. "This family has spent too long worshipping labels. Time to rewrite the inheritance." I turned to her, startled, but she only smiled. Quinn drove us back to Olivia's house in his car, the ruined dress carefully laid across my lap to prevent the wine from setting deeper into the fabric. Back at her place, I excused myself and went upstairs to the guest bedroom to change out of the ruined dress. She carefully rolled it up, placing it on a clean towel while Quinn paced in the living room, still fuming. When I came downstairs in borrowed clothes, Olivia was already in the kitchen stirring tea. "You handled yourself well tonight," she said without looking up. "I didn't do anything." "You didn't need to." That's what made it powerful. She poured 3 cups and pushed them toward us, then fixed her gaze on both of us. "I'm going to change my will." My heart skipped. "What?" "I've been thinking about it for a while. Tonight only confirmed it." "Olivia, you don't need to—" "I do." Her voice was quiet but absolute. My collection, dresses, jewelry, heirlooms, I've spent decades preserving things of value. I won't let them rot in the hands of someone who can't tell silk from polyester. Quinn leaned forward. "You're really serious about this?" "Very." She sipped her tea. "Jillian, you have taste, but more importantly, you have heart, something Nadine never had and never tried to understand." I blinked back tears. "You make things with care. You treat people gently. You deserve every bit of what she wanted to inherit." No one had ever looked at me like that before, with pride, with recognition. That night, as Olivia's words echoed in my mind, I made a decision. The wine stain wasn't just an insult, it was an opportunity. If Nadine wanted war, I would give her strategy. The next morning, I was still at Olivia's when Nadine's red SUV pulled up. Quinn had called his mother the night before, telling her where we were staying and that we needed to talk. She marched right in without knocking. "Mother, we need to talk." Olivia didn't look up from her newspaper. "No, you need to listen." Nadine faltered, then set her purse down with a loud thud. "I've been humiliated." "You humiliated yourself." I was drunk. It wasn't intentional. No, it was deliberate. That's worse. I stood in the corner, saying nothing. Quinn joined me quietly, hand resting at my back. Nadine glanced at me, lips tight. She's dividing this family. No, Olivia said, folding her paper neatly. You did that when you decided your pride mattered more than decency. You're giving her everything, aren't you? I'm giving her what she'll value. My dresses, my jewelry, my legacy. Nadine's face turned scarlet. She doesn't even understand what those things are worth. Maybe not in dollars, Olivia replied calmly, but in craftsmanship, in history. She understands more than you ever have. For a moment, Nadine's composure cracked. Her lips trembled, her eyes darting toward Quinn, hoping for sympathy. He just shook his head. You never gave her a chance, Mom. Never. Nadine looked at me then. Really looked. I saw something flicker in her eyes, something wounded, confused. I thought I was protecting him, she said quietly. I stepped forward. No, Nadine. You were protecting your idea of him. Quinn isn't the man you imagined at those fundraisers. He's his own person, and he chose me. You hated that from day one. Silence fell heavy between us. Olivia stood. I won't have this kind of venom in my house. You can leave now. Nadine's mouth opened, but no sound came out. She looked at the three of us, realizing there was nothing left to say. She picked up her purse and walked out. No slam, no shouting, just the sound of rain as the door clicked closed. That afternoon, while Quinn was at work, I made several calls. First to a textile conservator I knew from my design work, then to the university's fashion history department, finally to a photographer specializing in archival documentation. I have a proposition, I told each of them, a collection that needs preserving, professionally. When I explained my plan to Olivia that evening, her eyes sparkled. You're not just preserving the clothes, she said, you're preserving the legacy. And making it accessible, I added. These pieces deserve to be studied, not just locked away. Over the next 2 months, we transformed Olivia's attic into a proper archive. Quinn and I helped catalog everything, photographing each piece, documenting materials, and stitching techniques. Olivia's collection wasn't just clothes, it was cultural history preserved in fabric and thread. The university sent graduate students to assist with the archiving. Art history majors marveled at the construction techniques. Local news covered the private collection being opened for academic study. They interviewed Olivia, who mentioned her granddaughter-in-law's instrumental role in preserving history that might otherwise have been lost. Nadine saw the article. Of course she did. Despite our strained relationship, she still received the local paper and followed all news involving the family name. 3 months after the wine incident, we hosted an exhibition at the University Gallery. Threads of Time, the Olivia Lawson collection, every significant piece carefully displayed, each with documentation of its history and craftsmanship. Cocktail dresses from the 50s, evening gowns from European ateliers, hand-beaded purses from the Art Deco era. And there, in the center display case, restored to perfection, the midnight blue Paris gown, accompanied by a small placard detailing its remarkable journey, including its near destruction and subsequent restoration. We sent Nadine an invitation. We didn't expect her to come, but she did. I spotted her at the opening reception, standing alone before the central display case, reading the placard describing the gown's history. Her face was unreadable as she studied the restored dress, no trace of the wine stain visible. I approached quietly, standing beside her without speaking. "You fixed it," she finally said, not looking at me. "Yes, and put it on display for everyone to see." I met her gaze steadily. "Not to embarrass you, Nadine, to celebrate it. Everything has value beyond what we initially see, clothes, stories, people." She studied me with new eyes, not warm, not friendly, but recalculating. "Mother is very proud of you," she said finally. "I'm proud of her," I replied. "Her collection will inspire designers and historians for generations now." We stood in silence for a moment. No apologies, no reconciliation, just acknowledgement. A week later, a package arrived at our door. No note, no return address. Inside was a vintage Hermes scarf, still in its original box from the 1960s. The distinctive orange box was unmistakable, and Quinn immediately recognized it as identical to one his mother had shown him in her collection years ago. I knew without asking who had sent it. Not a peace offering exactly, more like recognition. An admission that perhaps, just perhaps, I did understand value after all. I wore it to the next family dinner. Nadine noticed immediately, but said nothing. Olivia, however, smiled knowingly across the table. I never became Nadine's favorite person. Some relationships are better kept at a distance. But something had shifted. She'd tried to diminish me with that splash of wine, to mark me as an outsider. Instead, I'd use that stain as a foundation to build something lasting, not just preserving Olivia's collection, but creating a legacy that celebrated craftsmanship over labels, history over price tags, substance over appearance. In the end, the very public display of that restored dress said everything words couldn't. Some things, once valued, can't be destroyed. They can only be transformed. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles. Zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.